But I'll read a comment on social media directed at me, I guess, about me. And it's from nameless, faceless profile. And I begin to fantasize about what it would be like and how much sublime pleasure I would receive in hurting that person.
Mike Israetel, one of the most famous fitness influencers in the world today, a following that any of us in this space would dream to have. I'm the asshole sitting here. I don't even have 100,000 yet. So any of us would dream to be in his position. And he recently did an interview where he talks about what steroid use did to him in a large dose.
The ideas in my head that tell me to do things tell me to do unspeakable things.
Like what?
They're unspeakable.
And I gotta say, never in my life, and I have experience with this, I haven't done it in over a decade. I haven't touched any steroids, only TRT, right? But I've experienced, and I know the things that it did to me. But never in my life have I heard some sick shit like what he's saying right now in this interview.
I'm also fucking weird, so just remember that.
No, we're all a bit weird.
Most people probably don't have this severity, but I'll read a comment on social media directed at me, I guess, about me. And it's from nameless, faceless profile. And I begin to fantasize about what it would be like and how much sublime pleasure I would receive in hurting that person at a deep physical and emotional level. Badly. Hurting them in such a way that they're never going to walk right again and they're always going to remember me and how they dared to cross me.
Now, I've seen things with people taking steroids among friends, among myself, right? For me, it gave me a shorter fuse than I normally have. And normally in my everyday life, I don't get pissed at things that often, but when I get pissed, I get really pissed, right? So when I took steroids, I got even more pissed and I was a bigger asshole than I normally was. And then what it did to me as far as wanting every sharmuta that I saw. Normally I have a high sex drive, right? But when I took certain substances, it made me want every sharmuta that I could find. And it ended up causing me trouble because of that in my life. So I've experienced things like this, but never the things that Mike is saying in this interview, thinking about doing bad, nasty things to people.
This is the thing. I'll be brushing my teeth in the morning in the shower and thinking about people in my life that have wronged me. I've never been wronged in a real serious way. And I'll just be like, those motherfuckers. Uncontrollable fantasies of rage and aggression and righteous anger and revenge. I hate that. As a philosophical minded person, I just want to hug everyone in the world. Right now, I'm on not so high levels of steroids. And I make jokes with I'll start conversations with random people in the street, no problem. And so when these thoughts consistently enter my mind on higher doses, I'm just like, why? And I'm never I should be feeling like this. I'm like, this is really annoying and really terrible.
So I started thinking, I'm gonna give you an example. I had this girlfriend, right? Angel, princess. I loved her. I wanted to marry her. I thought she was the perfect girl. She didn't drink. She didn't do drugs. She didn't do nothing, right? I didn't know in her past she did it, right? She had a problem in the past. Anyway, long story short, 6 months go by. We never even had a drink together. She goes, one night we have some drinks together. And I saw a side of her that I never wanted to see again. She said things that I never saw. She did things I never seen before. And I said, you know what? Maybe this girl shouldn't be drinking, right? Well, long story short, she starts drinking more and more, and she starts doing very evil things. And I remember, without going into specifics, waking up in the morning after this fiasco of a night, and she's smiling, in a good mood, and I'm looking at her, go, "Do you remember what you did to me last night?" And she goes, "No." And I said to myself, how could somebody have a few drinks and change into this person that I never knew before, right? And then I realized something. I realized some people, because me, I could drink and I just get more happy. I don't get evil. I don't say things to people. I don't not remember things I did, right? I realized that some people, they're just not meant for drinking.
Do you know what honor culture is?
No.
Like the idea that like in the hood, you step on someone's like a gang member's Nikes and he just blasts you away and goes to jail for 20 years over what? Steroids. The honor culture comes from maleness. It comes from testosterone and other brain structures, of course, but the more testosterone, and steroids are all testosterone-like molecules. If you have 10 times the testosterone-like action affecting your brain, your proclivity to falling into honor culture-like behavioral patterns and thought patterns increases to an enormous extent. So you tend to take things that are not meant in any poor way as affronts. If they're actually meant as affronts, you tend to catastrophize them in your head. And like, this is the thing. Like,
so seeing this interview with Mike Israetel, all right, going back to it, I started to realize that some people, they're not meant to take steroids because it brings out the worst in them. And for Mike Israetel, like I was saying in the beginning of this video, there's nobody more successful than him. He gets 10 times the amount of views of Greg Doucette, and we all know how successful he is on this platform. There's nobody bigger than him. He doesn't need this in his life, so why would he even do this? And we've seen Mike. When I see him as a happy-go-lucky guy, in a good mood, cracking jokes. We've seen him at the expos. So my advice to Mike Israetel is, look at what you've done in your life. Look at the things you've accomplished. Steroids, knowing how they make you think, should be the last thing you do in your life. I've been on TRT for over 10 years, and it's done so much for my life to make me feel younger, stronger. And I recently signed with a company called Live Forever Health. I'm going to put a link in my coupon code in the bio. And this company, everything's been so seamless, and I tested this out. I would never recommend things to people unless I'm using it, unless I tested the whole process. And the process couldn't be easier. They sent me a kit to send my blood back in the mail. They got my results. I met with the doctor, with the nurse practitioner. We went over my results, and then they gave me my prescription, sent me the testosterone in the mail. So it couldn't be easier. And again, this is a company I trust, that I actually did the whole process with, and pricing is competitive, similar to everybody else who does it. But this is a company that I use, and a company, again, that I trust.